The bid for Los Angeles to host the 10th Olympic Games was placed at the 23rd session of the IOC. Since it was the only bid available, the IOC chose Los Angeles in Rome, Italy, on 1923.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Barry Coleman, along with Dan Ashmore, my co-host for the 2 weeks coverage of the 10th Summer Olympic Games here at the Los Angeles Olympic Stadium.
Ladies,
2,000 athletes from 39 countries will march in.
direct your attention to the west end of the stadium.
One of the most impressive sights that you'll ever see in any sporting event, ladies and gentlemen.
IOC member William May Garland convinced the rest of the IOC to allow Los Angeles to host the 1923 Games due to the fact that the United States was viewed as one of the greatest sporting nations and would be quite hospitable. Additionally, Garland made the point that Los Angeles was an area far removed from the trouble he felt brewing on the continent, meaning that most political, social, and international issues would be put to the side. The choice of Los Angeles as host city was viewed down upon because it was such a remote location. If athletes were sent from Europe, it took a week to cross the Atlantic Ocean by ship and at least several more days to travel across the United States. Since the journey was so long, it increased the cost for countries to send their athletes to compete. Due to depression occurring worldwide, there were only about 1,300 athletes representing 37 countries in the 1932 Olympic Games. This is because most countries couldn't afford to send their athletes to compete due to worldwide depression. In preparation for the 1932 Olympic Games, the USC Coliseum was expanded to provide more space for events, athletes, and spectators. The Olympic Village at the 10th Olympic Games was the first of its kind. The village was composed of portable houses located in Baldwin Hills. It was designed and built by H.O. Davis. The village amounted up to $500,000, $8,171 in 2016. Only males were allowed to stay at the village. Women stayed at the Chapman Park Hotel. How the village was set up was very extravagant. The village included 5 dining halls, a post office, a radio station, a dental office, a hospital, a fire station, a movie theater, and a 600-foot tall administration building. The village included 550 portable houses, each measuring 24 by 10 feet. The rooms were quite simple, as they only had enough space for 2 beds, 2 chairs, a dresser, and a toilet. Showers were shared by the 2 connecting 10 by 10 rooms. The Olympic Committee knew about how expensive it was to send an athlete all around the world to compete. They also created the village to break cultural boundaries between the athletes. I'll never forget the elation of living at the Olympic Village in Baldwin Hills. Being able to visit throughout the village, trying to overcome the language differences with representatives of 56 nations was a rare delight, said Frank Wyckoff, an American runner. Ticket sales were purposely lowered to offer more people the opportunity to see the games. This was also made possible due to the stadium's large seating capacity.
As previously stated, the USC Coliseum was expanded for the event. Construction began on December 21st, 1921, and Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, named in honor of those who died in World War I, was completed on May 1st, 1923. The renovations added 25,000 new seats, new athlete tunnel, and electricity. The main entrance was decorated in honor of the Olympics, and the Olympic fire was lit. The fire is still lit every time USC has a home game. The 1932 Olympics was the first Olympic Games in which athletes stood on the podium and observed as the flag of the winner's country rose. During that time, female athletes were advised not to participate in the Olympic Games and received very little attention. For instance, they were not allowed to stay or enter the Olympic Village. Instead, they stayed in a hotel. Despite worldwide turmoil outside of the Games, athletes were honored to represent and compete for their country. However, the reason for competing in the Olympics would change in later games from nationalism to fame and money. The main source of communication, operation, and administration used in the games was telephone. This was used to pass information quickly so that the results of the games could be publicized as soon as possible. Even though the Olympics happened during the Great Depression, the Olympic Committee had a turnaround of $1.5 million, a very rare event. The exposition pool was built for the 1932 Olympics. Today, it is worth an estimated $30 million. The pool was later used for the other athletes to enjoy the sport.
The medals won at these Olympics were designed by Giuseppe Cassioli. He was chosen by a competition held by the International Olympic Committee in 1921. The medal features the goddess of victory on the front. On the reverse side, an Olympic athlete is shown being carried through a crowd with the original Olympic Stadium in the background. The design was reused from the 1928 Olympics in Amsterdam. The medals from 1928 to 1968 were all identical except for the name and the date of the Olympics identifying them. Smokey was the Olympic mascot in 1932. He was born in the Olympic Village as it was being built. What makes him unique was that he was a real creature rather than a cartoon character. These Olympics featured events in boxing, cycling, diving, horseback riding, fencing, gymnastics, hockey, rowing, sailing, shooting, swimming, and wrestling. Here is a listing of the medals won during the 1932 Olympics. In first place was the United States with a total of 100 medals. Here is another photo of the Colosseum. This shows how many people attended the games and partook in all the excitement.
Don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing, all you gotta do is swing. Makes no difference if